Hi, this is Stacia, and I wanted to share a study I did on the Banco Gambit on another line. So I covered the F3 variation on move 5, and now this video is going to be about the E3 variation. So in this position, um, we're going to cover the move E3, where white chooses to defend the pawn with the bishop. So um, I'll explain how we get there, though. So it starts with d4, knight f6, c4. Black strikes in the center with c5, an aggressive move, attacking the d-pawn. White's most common response is to push, and then black plays the interesting move b5. So white pushes in the center, and black strikes back at the c-pawn. From here, white most often takes the pawn, and probably should. It's the best move. So c takes b5, and now black plays a6, offering a pawn, basically, because this one will get recaptured. So this is the Banco Gambit, and here, most often you'll see bishop takes a6, and that goes into the main line of the Banco Gambit. You'll also see b6. This is a move I don't really encounter, but probably I'll be doing another video on the b6 move as well as the main line. Might as well complete the series, right? I went over f3 in the last video. Very interesting lines to come out of that. And now we're going to do e3. And of course, the goal of this video, since openings are rabbit holes for sure, right? What I like to do to start is to look at the main line and see what ideas I can gather from the main line. Okay, so it'll certainly be better than what I do now against this. That's guaranteed. All right, so e3. The idea of e3 is interesting. When I first saw this move, I actually thought the white players didn't know what they were doing, because in the Banco, white likes to play the move e4 and then play for an e5 break. And that's very thematic in the main line. So when I first saw e3, I kind of thought white was screwing up. But this has an interesting idea behind it, which is white is defending their b pawn now. And if we were to capture, which you can, white's going to take with the bishop. And okay, so that's not the main move, however, although this can be played. So, but that's the idea behind this move. So instead of that, we're going to do the main line, which is g6. So basically black's going to ignore what white's doing over here and just play bishop g7 and castle and probably play d6 and just get solid as the first order of business. All right, white plays knight c3, and now you see that white's developing a strategy already to really grip on the b5 square. There's a pawn occupying the square for the moment. And all right, bishop g7 as planned, right? And here's the first sort of unusual move, and that's the move a4. So this is consistent with gripping the b5 square. Seems like all of white's moves are doing that. All right, so black again is going to castle as planned. And now white plays bishop c4 in the main line. There's also several other ways this can go, by the way. So this would be an opening that I'd want to study a lot deeper. Because, like, for example, knight f3 is a move here, and that's not a move played in this line. e4 is a move. So probably after this, they will play for e5. And even rook a3 is a move here, which does happen later, as you'll see, but it can be played at this moment as well. All right, so, but we're looking at What are we looking at? Okay, so a4 castles, and we're going to look at the main move, which is bishop c4. So I think black actually wants to capture on b5, but white would want to recapture with the bishop. After bishop c4, we are going to grab this pawn, and now if the bishop were to take, which is a move, we could claim that white has lost a tempo because they just played bishop c4, and now they're going to move again. Probably for that reason, it looks like the knight takes more often here. This is the main move. Knight takes b5. But yeah, I mean, white was clamping down on the b5 square, and now a piece has showed up here. And I'd say that's a pretty strong knight being posted on the b5 square like that in black's camp. And our queen side isn't even developed. But yeah, I'm noticing what a weird strategy this is because white is not focusing on development at all, are they? These pieces are all on the back rank, and I do like black a little better right now, despite this knight, just because I prefer positions where my opponent is behind in development, even if they have this knight. But clearly this has all been studied, so this is okay for both sides. All right, so black's going to continue here with d6. And I have to say that the book I have for the opening, not the book, but the database I have ended at knight takes b5. So I was using ChessBase to determine the next few moves, but there's not many games, like under 10 games. So despite that, I do want to look and kind of get a feel for where the game could go from here and what some ideas are. So we're going to continue a little further here. d6 is played on move 9, and now knight e2. So the knight is choosing to come to e2. Why? Well, they want to play knight c3, and this kind of plays into that strategy to occupy the b5 square. And on top of that, yeah, I guess that's all I got for now. Oh no, the other thing I wanted to mention is from here, white could play e4 later. It will support e4, which I think is still a desirable move for white. It's kind of surprising that they don't play it sooner. Okay, so black needs to develop the queen side, right? So knight bd7 is a move. Surprisingly, I will just note that the computer prefers to use the F knight. I've seen this in Benoni's, and it seems like the computer prefers that here and prefers that this knight comes to a6. So just something, I think either way, we want a knight to come to c7 and challenge this guy. So I think that's what the computer's doing, if I had to guess. But okay, knight bd7 is what I came up with. Rook a3. Again, strange looking move, but rook a3 has a few ideas, and I know this is a move from watching one of John Bartholomew's videos. I am International Master John Bartholomew. He played rook a3 as well, and he said that this does a couple things. It takes the rook off the dangerous diagonal because there could be tactics later, and then this rook could end up useful along the third rank. It may attack black, or it may provide defense along the third rank. Okay, so now knight bd7 to knight b6. This is a tempo move on the bishop, and this explains why rook a3 was played, because now the bishop wants to come back to a2. Had this occurred while the rook is on a1, then I'm not really sure how the rook's going to get involved. In fact, it would take a while, right? Because white is choosing not to develop their dark square bishop. Okay, so bishop a2, and now black develops their final piece. Well, I guess the queen's left. With bishop a6. White responds with knight e to c3. As mentioned, this is useful. And now black is fully developed. So normally I stop my studies here, but curiosity gets the best of me. What is going to happen here? Like, what's a plan for black moving forward, and what is white going to do from here? They have not castled. They have delayed the development of their dark square bishop. Maybe they're waiting for e4. I don't know. So I was curious. So I continued. And the plan for black, it was interesting. It's knight to e8. So this does uncover the bishop. So now there's pressure along the diagonal. White's probably happy their rook's not on the a1 square. And the idea here is knight c7. So we're going to challenge this knight. So, okay. White also plays a move I didn't expect here. This was played on ChessBase, and it's a computer move, computer top move. Well, queen c2 is being listed as well. But, yeah, h4. I would be scared if I was black. I don't like when people attack me. Why play chess then, right? No, I'm just kidding. It's an interesting move. So white, I think, is saying they may not castle at all here. They may just play h5 and maybe queen g4 and maybe like swing the rook over. Like e4 and I don't know. Yeah, I could see this being an attack. Just to continue, black plays knight c7. So this was the plan. Yeah, and you see I have an arrow drawn here. So black has a threat now, and it's not to take the knight straight away. It's to take the a pawn and win a pawn. So, like, for example, let's say white does a nothing move. What could I do here? Maybe this. Well, here the knight can take on a4, and no matter how white recaptures, we basically win a pawn. Like, for example, if knight takes, we take here, and we win a pawn. And that's actually really good for black. If they take with the rook, same thing. And I don't think white wants that, because they don't really own the b5 square anymore, do they? And this looked like the most testing way to play, but that's a bit awkward, isn't it? So black would just play bishop takes b5, and now this queen has to move again, queen c2. Yeah, I don't think... In fact, we're going to take the rook now. Yeah, and something's gone wrong for white here, because black looks like very active on the queen side all of a sudden. The queen can come to a8. We've got this a file. Yeah, because this is going to happen. And yeah, suddenly black looks better here. All right. So that was the idea behind knight c7, not to actually take the knight right away, but to threaten to take on a4. For that reason, white's going to capture here, and then we can recapture, connecting our rooks. And so development is very complete now for black, and white has a messy position, but an attacking one. Like, the next move here is h5, and so you can tell white's probably just going to go all out here. I'll just play through some moves because we did enough. Queen g4, yeah. Knight d7. So this knight has to come to the rescue. I mean, white's attacking the king side, and all of our pieces are over here. I think that's the that's the point. Somebody has to come help the king, right? He's like not happy right now. H takes g6. Have to make sure to take this way. Taking this way would allow queen e6 check. And okay, looks like some interesting games can come out of this opening. So Um, One last thing, I like to go through the highlights of what we learned. So if we were going to learn one or two main things about this from our study, what would it be? Well, I think the first thing I learned is that white is really playing to first control and then occupy the b5 square with a piece. Um, Black ignores all that and just develops on the king side. Yeah, and so knight b5. So a knight appears on b5, or the bishop will. And that is going to happen in this opening. And yeah, so I want to remember the strange moves. So a4, which is played on move 7, that's something to watch for. Rook a3 and h4. Those are the moves that seem a bit unusual to me that I might want to remember as possibilities during my games. Yeah, and this middle game plan is very interesting to me. I don't know if I would come up with this or not. Knight e8 to knight c7 is the idea, challenging the knight and as a way to win the a pawn. But if you do this, yeah, all your pieces are on the queen side, so you're going to get attacked. And yeah, but obviously this is just one line. But I certainly feel like I have a better understanding um, than I did prior to this. So I hope you learned something too. I'm going to do more studies on the Banco Gambit. I'd like to look at the main line, which I know pretty well, but um, I guess I want to do that to complete my series. And then also the B6 variation. So we'll be looking at this variation. That's not something I see, but I'm sure I will at some point. So, and I've heard this is a very testing line for black, so I definitely want to take a look at that. Please like, subscribe, comment. I really appreciate it. When I get feedback, um, both from players my level or below, but from stronger players as well, because I am, I am not a strong player yet. I want to be. I'm rated about 1520 or something USCF, but I'm an improving player. So I appreciate any and all feedback. Thanks so much for listening if you did, and have a great day. Bye.